Hey, I'm Max. I own a wood-fire pizza food truck in Southern Ontario called Lowlands Fire Food. I, like most people, like eating food, but I also like learning about the food. And that's why today we're with Ryan Cullen from City of Greens Farm. Ryan grows exceptional garlic, and today get an opportunity to ask him all my questions that I've ever had about garlic.
Well, excited to be here.
Thank you, Ryan. Ryan, I'm going to start with a joke.
Let's hear it.
Why did the garlic break up with his girlfriend?
No idea.
Because she gave him blue bulbs.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
That's very good. Okay, Ryan, serious question now. What do you like to see in that bulb of garlic that makes you look at yourself in the mirror at the end of the day and say, I've grown good garlic?
The bigger the bulb, the better, obviously, because you can sell it for a higher price. And, that's really it. Size, aroma.
Can you tell it's a good bulb before you pull it out?
You can usually tell by the above ground growth. Like a thicker stalk, a taller plant is generally going to mean a bigger bulb below the ground. If you're planting small little cloves, then you're typically going to get a smaller bulb in the spring.
Like from this garlic, is it this clove that you're planting? Because the scape also has
a flower.
Yeah, a flower.
So both. So the scape is the shoot that comes up from your hardneck garlic. That actually is what produces the flower. And then inside that flower, if you let the scape develop, inside the scape will have little bulbules. That's how you can actually create your own variety. So you would plant those bulbules out and genetically select the most vigorous, the best tasting, the best looking from that set, save the clove from that, and then keep replanting that, and then you're actually cultivating your own variety at that point.
I read that if you want to grow the most calories per square foot of your garden, you would grow garlic, because it's like 40 calories a bulb.
We typically don't think of calories per square foot, although we should. We typically think of dollars per square foot. So you play with the spacings to grow as many as you can in your bed or in your growing space. Calories wise, I'm not sure. Just a simple farmer.
Yeah, fair enough. Do you got any tricks that you've learned over farming to growing the biggest bulbs?
We've in the past laid down a very liberal amount of compost, cover that with either leaves or straw, and that creates like a nice insulative layer, but then also the compost kind of slow feeds the garlic, provides it nutrients, also acts as a mulch. The other alternative to that is you can not really, let's say, compost or fertilize it in the fall, and some people will not necessarily mulch it entirely or pull the mulch off in the spring and then fertilize. Mulching with straw in the fall is good because it provides that insulative value and it pops up early in the spring. Under that thick layer of straw, it can stay moist and you risk it getting moldy. So I actually like to have the straw layer on all winter, pull that off in the spring, and then you can actually cultivate between your rows and you can fertilize. You want to give it some nitrogen fertilizer because nitrogen is what makes the green part of the plant grow. And then you got more solar panels, which means it's harvesting more photons, it's putting more energy into the bulb, and then you taper off the fertilization by June.
And when do you cut the scapes?
I usually just look for when it starts to kind of pigtail. It's a balance between how long do I leave the scape on because I want to sell the scapes.
But you also want to sell the garlic.
Yeah, and the quicker you get the scape off, the better, because there's energy going into scape and flower and then seed production. If you leave the scapes too long, and there's always a few you forget, and then those are always the smallest. And that's why garlic's a great crop, because you're getting 2 yields off of it.
When do you plant the garlic?
In St. Lawrence, Southern Ontario, anytime from now. So we're second week of October till Halloween. I've planted it as late as second week in November. If you plant it too early, you risk it getting a little too much growth and even actually poking through the soil. And then when you get really cold temperatures, it'll affect the leaf growth.
How do you store garlic?
Yeah, good question. What you want to do is cure it.
This stuff is cured.
Cured. And then we'll sell some of the stuff fresh because it's a little more potent, but it doesn't store. So you have to cure it. So in order to cure it, we'll cut it here a thumb length. So we'll cut the beard off because that beard is just pulling some moisture out as well. And then we put it in a high heat environment. So 28 degrees and then fans on them. And so you want to cure it for 2 to 3 weeks. And what you're trying to do is get this neck. You want that to seal.
I chew on these when I'm cooking.
Really?
Yeah.
How's that?
They're pretty tasty.
Keeps the vampires away. You want to store it at 0 to 3 degrees. but not humid. If you put it in the fridge, it'll go a little too moist. Any kind of moisture now is going to introduce the potential for mold. So you want it in cold, low humidity. So like a root cellar is perfect.
So garlic's mentioned in the Vedas text because of its healing powers. Do you believe garlic has magical healing powers?
Yes. I don't know any, but I think, I lived in Southeast Asia for a long time, and it's like the first thing usually in the pan. It's got antibacterial properties. I think all food has healing powers, right? It's why we grow it and consume it. I'm not a scientist, but
There's some magic going on there.
my favorite dish when I was in Thailand was I had this lady at this little shop, and she would make me garlic fried rice. And I'd eat it every day, and I never got sick, man.
Yeah, there you go. What varieties do you grow of garlic?
Garlic's not like our official crop.
Your city of greens.
Yeah, we grow salad greens is kind of our thing, so I don't really specialize in garlic. This is music, so it's like a porcelain variety. It's pretty ubiquitous to like this area. It grows well in Southern Ontario. A lot of people are growing it, but I like the color. Like the color is really pretty, so it stands out at the market. So the difference between the hard neck and the soft neck won't actually produce the scape or the flower. The hard neck will, and your soft necks will typically store a little longer. The hard necks are more adapted to like cold climates, whereas the soft necks you can grow in like kind of warmer climates. How do you use the garlic on your pizza?
So the garlic just like cooks really well in our wood fire oven. So often we're roasting the garlic like in a cast iron pan, just like cutting the top off, adding some olive oil to it. We don't want to like cook it down too much because then it loses like its potency a little bit.
Exactly.
But that's like the main way we do it. And then also just like in our tomato sauce, our garlic dill sauce, just mincing up this garlic.
Yeah.
And you grow some potent garlic.
Honestly, the secret is always in the soil. Nature's growing it. I'm just setting up the conditions. That's the way I like it, is roasted. Brings
Do
out
you
the
want to
flavor.
show them your trick for cracking this open?
Yeah. So if you have to plant some garlic, or if you're a chef and you got to crack a whole bunch, instead of trying to peel them apart with your fingers, the easiest and fastest way to do it is just give it a tap like that.
Boom.
And then that slides out, and then it's easy to break apart. So we'll sort bigs to smalls, plant all the bigs first, keep the smalls if you need to finish a row or something like that. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram, City of Greens Farm. We're in Bowmanville, Ontario. Premium salad greens, market garden vegetables, and awesome garlic for local chefs like our friend Max at Lowlands.